So, just continuing with my discussion on student work samples, a couple of things about good conclusions. I've got a couple of examples here for you. The common link that all three stories have to third person narration is the presence of necessary information to interpret the stories. This information provides the reader with an outside perspective that gives details about each character. These details add to the interpretation of who the characters really were. Each of these stories would have had a whole different reading experience if told from another point of view. In each of these three stories, the authors use third person narration to involve the readers in the lives of the characters. Chopin shines a light on the underlying struggle of a woman. Faulkner shows the support of a community despite a person's past. Hemingway explains the struggles of a soldier's returns home. Soldiers return home. Omniscient narration allows these authors to tell their stories in a new light. The use of a third person narrator makes it easiest for a reader to understand every part of a story compared to a first or second person narration. It does so by revealing a character's innermost thoughts and emotions while still expressing what other characters perceive. All three stories discussed share a glimpse of how its main character feels beyond what is outwardly shown. Kate Chopin uses third person narration to show the reader Mrs. Mallard's resentment towards being trapped by her husband. Faulkner uses it to allow the reader to view Miss Emily as the townspeople do. And lastly, Hemingway takes on a third person narrative to break past the mask that Krebs has put up. So those are effective because they revisit the thesis, they tie up loose ends and provide closure, and they restate the main points of the essay. A couple more helpful tips for you. Make sure that you spell the author's stories and characters' names correctly in your essay and on the works cited. I had multiple papers that had Hemingway misspelled, that had Krebs' name misspelled. That's the most surefire way to undermine your credibility to write a literary analysis essay if you do not spell the characters and the authors and the stories correctly. Maintain a formal tone throughout. Avoid slang and contractions in formal writing. Don't use a first or second person. That means no I, me, my, us, we, you, your, etc. Third person unbiased is the way to go. Work to achieve balance. No one story should get more attention than another. All your paragraphs should roughly be around the same size. Read your paper out loud to yourself before you turn it in. You'll catch any major errors doing it this way. And then make sure to check your submission after posting to see if it's submitted correctly. I had about 10 papers where the works cited was split into two different pages. There were extra additional pages in people's documents that should have been taken out. So sometimes that's a processing error when you're moving it from one format to another to turn it in. So after you submit, always check your submission to make sure that it's submitted the way that you want it to and it looks the way that you want it to before you turn it in for grading. That way it'll save you a lot of trouble and a lot of points if it submits incorrectly, because once it's submitted, I don't know I've seen enough papers I can understand when it happens, but I also don't know if it was submitted incorrectly or if that's the way that you did it. So make sure that you check to make sure that your submission submits the way that you want it to before you turn it in. You can always resubmit. Those have an open resubmission on them. If it doesn't look right, fix it and resubmit. Okay, hopefully these tips are going to help you. Looking at these examples will help you in shaping your own paper. As always, if you have questions or concerns or comments, please don't hesitate to contact me for help.